My name's Abigail, and you're listening to Absolutely Me. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Absolutely Me. This is a very special episode today because it is my 10th podcast episode that I'm recording. To even say that out loud is just crazy. Thinking that I even got to 10 is crazy. Something else that's crazy is we've reached almost 1,000 streams of this podcast, just like in total since it began, almost 1,000, which is so crazy to me because I really was like, I'm gonna upload this and then like maybe my mom will listen to it, maybe my best friend will listen to it, maybe my boyfriend will listen to it, like maybe, and like maybe it'll just be mostly me talking to myself and kind of having some therapy for myself. It kind of feels like when I do these episodes, honestly, like it's like I'm journaling, which is very, very therapeutic for me. Like I have a journal that I write in, it's online, and I'm not very consistent at it. Like I definitely need to do better. I used to be really consistent. I used to write in it every single night before I went to bed. And now it's just like every once in a while. I can't remember if I've mentioned this on the podcast before or not, but doing this podcast like really makes me feel like I'm writing in my journal, especially when I'm doing these solo episodes like I am today. And it's been such a long time since I've done a solo episode. It's been like 5 episodes, I think, since I've done a solo episode, which is crazy. And it's easy for me to just like sit and talk to another person while they're here and like have a conversation that way. And it feels weird when I'm just sitting here talking by myself, to myself pretty much, even though it's to all of you guys listening. But it's just wild every time I do this, like how good I feel at the end. Today's just it's been a good day. I just got home and I was like, I really, really do not want to do this tonight. I've just had a long day at work today. So I was like, oh, I just want to come home and like maybe take a bath, maybe go swim in the swimming pool and like go to bed and like eat some like Chick-fil-A or something and go to sleep. But I really want to be able to do this podcast and talk to you guys. And it's been such a long time. And I really love doing this podcast. I really do. It's been awesome. Something that's so amazing and terrible about doing this podcast all at the same time is realizing like how many of you actually listen to this and are hearing my inner thoughts and inner feelings, and just how weird it is that I'm being so vulnerable with so many people. And some like a lot of people that listen to it, I'm sure, are not like super close to me, and which I love. Like I love that everybody listens to it. It's just weird thinking about all of you guys listening to these inner thoughts, and I'm just putting it out there. And as I record, it's weird to like say these things out loud. I'm not very good at expressing myself out loud. I'm really good at writing things down and expressing myself. I'm not as good as expressing myself, my feelings, through just speaking them out loud. So this has been a good exercise for me that way, and that's why this is so great and so terrible at the same time, is because I'm just kind of word vomiting sometimes, it feels like, and you guys all just get to hear it. It's great, but apparently you guys are interested because you keep coming back. Something I wanted to mention before I get into some little life updates: if you guys really love this podcast, I would love if you would leave me a review, or a rating. 5 stars would be great, but any rating would be great wherever you listen to this. The more ratings this gets, the more reviews that this gets, the more it can show up for other people to listen to. And also, if you've enjoyed this and you want to share it with the other people in your life, like please do. And I would love to have as many people listening to this as possible. And I've got some really great people that are going to be coming on the podcast in the next few weeks, and I really want to start doing different kind of panels with people where I interview, for example, something I was thinking about, because I keep getting a lot of questions about the church and about faith, is to do a panel with me as the moderator and 3 people, one person who is like in the middle, one person who is extremely religious, and one person who is not religious, and have a panel discussion that way. I think that would be super interesting. If that's something you guys are interested in too, let me know, and let me know what topics you would want to hear. And my DMs are always open. I'd love to hear these thoughts from you guys, and if there's things you want to hear me talk about, like, please let me know. Like I said, I have some plans for the next few episodes, but if you guys have things you want me to talk about, like, please let me know. I love hearing from you. So just some life updates for you guys. I've had some big changes in my life recently. It's been a couple of weeks since I've even recorded an episode. I recorded a couple of episodes in advance just because I knew I was going to have a crazy couple of weeks. And so I feel like there's a lot to catch you guys up on. All good things, like no bad updates. But the first like pretty big update is I got a brand new job, and I have been tomorrow or Monday, it'll be 3 weeks. Like tomorrow will be my 3 full weeks there. 3 working weeks, and then Monday will be like 3 weeks, I guess, since I started. That might be wrong. Just ignore what I just said. But I've been working there for like 3 weeks, and it's for the Department of Health and Human Services Center for Medical Cannabis. And I know, so random, so hilarious. No, I cannot get you free samples. Literally every single person that I've told about that this new job asks me if I can get them free samples. The answer is no, and I'm sorry. They don't give me free samples, and if they did, I would not share them. So sorry about that, but I do love my job so far. I am like such a political nerd. For people who don't know me super well, I'm like religiously been a political nerd for a long time, and I did debate in high school, and I've mentioned that I wasn't super great at debate, but I was like really interested in the topics, and I loved learning about them. And when I was like 11 years old, I had a family that I babysat for who was really awesome, and I would go over to their house, and their kids would go to bed at like 6:30, and then they were pretty conservative with like media and things that they had in their house. Like they didn't have cable, they didn't have streaming services of any kind, like they didn't have any like DVDs in the house of like movies or anything, but they did have this one show on DVD, and it was called The West Wing, and I started watching it because it was the only thing that they had in their house. And I watched it for the first time when I was like 11 years old. And I watched the entire thing. It's like 7 or 8 seasons. And, did you guys hear that? I'm sorry if you heard that ambulance in the background. But it's like 7 or 8 seasons. And they have like 20 episodes each. And they're like 45-minute long episodes. Watched it all the way through for the first time when I was 11. Fell in love with it. That's like really what sparked my interest in politics. If you haven't seen The West Wing before, I really think it's like one of the best TV shows of all time. Like, it is my number 1 favorite TV show. I've watched it through probably 13 or 14 times at this point in my life. Like, over the past like 15 years. Like, I literally watch it at least once a year all the way through, if not multiple times. Like, it's my comfort show, which is really strange, like, if you watch it, but I can, like, turn it on to any episode, and I just love it, and that's, like, really what sparked my interest in politics. And then I did debate in high school, kind of got some more exposure, and then I actually studied political science before I went on my mission. I double majored in political science and communications, and so I just, like, have always had an interest in political science and really thought that I wanted to go into politics into national politics. I wanted to be a communications director for politics, and like my dream for a while was I wanted to write the State of the Union and work like in the White House and be a speechwriter for the president and like work on political campaigns and get people elected and do communications type stuff. So I've always liked politics. And then I went on my mission to DC and I saw kind of the terrible life situation there. Like nobody had a life there. It was just like go, go, go all the time and so crazy. And the people like literally worked from like 5 a.m. to like 9 p.m. Like it was just outrageous. And I got home and realized I didn't want to do that. And then this job came open. One of my mom's friends, somebody I grew up down the street with, actually sent her a message and was just like, hey, if you know anybody that's looking for a job, like here's this opening for the Center for Medical Cannabis. And my mom sent it to me and I was like, this sounds perfect. And so now I applied and I got the job really quickly. Like it kind of just fell into my lap. And I was already looking for a new job. I was feeling really burnt out working in a warehouse in the heat and just did not want to do another summer there and wanted to do something a little more impactful. So now I work for the Center for Medical Cannabis. I'm the administrative assistant for the director, and I am in charge of overseeing. We have 2 different boards that are directed by the legislature. And if you're not interested in this, just tune me out for a second. But we have it's called the Medical Cannabis Policy Advisory Board and the Cannabis Research and Review Board. And I'm in charge of putting those meetings together, creating the agendas for those, communicating with lawmakers. My very first day on the job, we like went up to the Capitol and had a meeting with one of the legislative committees that they have up there, and my boss like presented a bunch of stuff, and like the Senate majority leader for the state of Utah was like the head of the committee, and like there were all these different people and they were talking about all these things having to do with medical cannabis, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have found my place, my people. I was excited, and I've been honestly so excited about it ever since, and I'm still trying to get my feet under me. But that's been really the biggest change, and I'm sure I'll talk about it a little bit more, but I've loved it so far. It's been so amazing, and the people are great. The job is great. Like benefits, pay, everything is better. So I'm super happy. And that's, like I said, that's been the biggest change. I've had a lot of people ask me about kickball. Sadly, kickball is over. We lost in the playoffs. Super sad. I wasn't there because I was at a family reunion, and we lost the game. And it was very depressing. And so now my kickball career is over. But last time I talked to you guys, I think about kickball, doing a solo episode, I told you that I wasn't very good. Turns out I'm actually pretty decent at kickball. I like somehow one week there was a shift in my my kickballing, and I just did really good. Like I would not only just, I went a couple games with not even be able to get on base, and then I like was hitting doubles, triples as I was getting up every time. And like one game we scored, I think 8 points, something like that. The whole like was our ending score, and I was 5 of those points, and like that's outrageous for me. So apparently I'm like decent at kickball. So if any of you guys want to play kickball, I'll play with you because it was a lot of fun. And yeah, I went to a family reunion in Boulder, Utah, with my mom's side of the family. We go every year. It's always amazing. This year was no different. We had just the best time ever. And also, both my parents have birthdays. They're a month and a day apart, and they're both turning 50. And this last weekend, I organized like a surprise party for them, and it was so awesome. They had absolutely no idea, and like my aunts and uncles were all in on it, and all their friends and all of my family, and it was just so awesome. My aunt and uncle took them out to dinner before, and then they all came home, and everybody was just in the backyard, and we like had confetti cannons that we like exploded, and balloons and treats and stuff, and they were so surprised. It was so awesome. And yeah, I think those are the biggest updates. Everything else is going pretty good. It's been a minute. Sorry, these updates are kind of taking a minute. It's been a long time, like I said, since I've done a solo episode, like over a month. So there's a lot that's happened. But yeah, life is really good. I'm super happy. And I'm just excited to do this episode and talk to you guys. I thought for my 10th episode, I think it would be fun, like, going forward for kind of like bigger number episodes. Like, since this is the 10th one, I wanted to do something special. So I was like, oh, I'll just do like a question and answer section, a portion. I think that would be really fun. So I put a link up on my Instagram account for people to ask me questions. By the way, I have an Instagram account. If you guys like don't know about it and want to follow it and are listening to it, it's just Absolutely Me Podcast on Instagram. The exact handle is absolutely.me.podcast. And it's just a picture of me. You'll be able to find it. It's a public thing, so you guys can look and follow me. That'd be awesome. I share a lot of stuff about the podcast on there, like links and everything, and sometimes I'll ask questions on there, like what people want to hear, or like this with questions for me. And let me just say, you guys, you really hit hard with some of these questions. I just have been getting a couple of them, like, every day. Like, I've been looking through a couple of them every day. And, man, you guys really just have been hitting hard. So I'm just going to go through these and just talk about them. And there's not really any order that I'm doing these in other than just what I'm looking at. Well, there's some intense ones, but you guys asked some good questions. So some of them, though, it's kind of funny. It feels like my dad and mom just like submitted them. Like this first one, future college plans is what it says. And I have not graduated from college. I haven't graduated with my bachelor's. I have my associates technically, but I haven't gotten my bachelor. I have like 2 semesters left until I would get my bachelor's degree. Like, really not anything at all. Like, I'm so close, and it just feels like I've been going to school for 1,000 years, because I literally graduated high school 8 years ago. Yeah, it's been 8 years since I graduated high school, so it feels like I've been going to school for 1,000 years. And, you know, I don't really know how to feel about school. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't know how to feel about school. I got this really awesome job that pays me pretty good. There's like a lot of opportunity to grow, and like I didn't need a college degree to get it. And like I just have always been told that a degree equals success, and my view on that has really changed a lot. And I know a lot of really successful people who have never graduated and make a lot of money and are really good at what they do. And so my view on college right now is honestly up in the air. Like, I could go back to school, I could not. Like, right now it's kind of 50-50 for me. And if I did go back, it would be just to say that I completed it. And I know that there's people who really want me to go back, and they really want me to complete it just to say that I completed it. And I agree with that, but also I don't know if I'm just going to do it just to get the piece of paper, or if I'm going to do it and it's going to like be valuable to my life. If I do go back to college and finish, I have to wait, unfortunately, until my divorce is final, because I got my Pell Grant taken away, which is, I don't know how that happened, but FAFSA was not happy with me. And so I got to wait until my divorce is finalized so I can get my FAFSA back. And then I'll consider it, because I don't want to pay out of pocket for school. So if I'm going to go back, I need to get my Pell Grant back, and I got to really be motivated to do so. So future college plans, I would say I have no idea what my future college plans are. For a long time, like, I really wanted to go to school and get a master's degree and go to law school. That was like my plan when I went to SUU. 8 years ago when I started going to school, they had a program there where you could double major in political science and communications and get your master's degree in communications in 5 years. You could get your bachelor's and your master's in 5. And I was like gonna do that. That was like my plan. And then I was gonna go to law school. And like if I would have stuck with that, I would have been done with law school at this point. And there's been a lot of changes in my life. A lot of crossroads. I'm still trying to figure out really what it is I want to do with my life, and so that's the long answer to that. My future college plans. I have no idea. I'll keep you guys updated though. Another question is something that is such a good question. It's, what's a cringy memory that taught you a memorable lesson? And thinking back in my life, there are 1,000 cringy memories, millions of cringy memories that I have from growing up. One of the ones that I thought of was that when, like, that really taught me a super valuable lesson and is so cringy. Like, sometimes it's one of those things where you think about, like, late at night and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I did that. I don't know if other people do that, but I'll, like, wake up late at night, I'll have these cringy memories come to me and I'm like reliving it and just punishing myself all over again. And sophomore year of high school, I went to a dance. It was like the first dance that me and my friends could go to. We were 16. It was a girls' choice dance, and so we asked all these guys. And it's been like 10 years since this happened, so my memory's a little bit foggy. But there was obviously my other friends in the group, and one of the girls that I went with, she ended up like kind of from what I remember, this other guy in the group who had gotten asked by somebody else was flirting with her, like on the date, which, you know, we're in high school, it happens. Like, it was just like a bunch of friends, and this guy was like flirting with my friend, this girl, and after the dance, they kind of like ended up dating a little bit, I think. But I like mentioned to somebody afterwards that they were like flirting at the dance and on like our group date, and that they were like, I thought they were cute, like would be a cute couple, and they were like, it seemed like they were getting kind of cozy like by the end, and just like getting, you know, familiar with, it's not like they were in the back of the car like making out or anything, like with their dates on the other side of them. Like, it was nothing like that. Like, they were just like, they didn't know each other very well, and then like on the date they connected and were just like getting friendly with each other and getting comfortable with each other. And I like mentioned that to somebody outside the group, and it started this like whole rumor about this girl and this guy, and how it just like got so out of hand, and people were talking about them and being like, oh my gosh, they were like, you know, making out on the date, at the dance, like, and their dates didn't know, and it like became this whole thing. And I felt so terrible because I didn't mean to start a rumor about anybody, but it was completely, from what I remember, and I could be wrong, like, it was completely my fault that this had happened, and I just felt so terrible. And I like didn't really fess up to my friend at the time, and I felt so terrible about it. And then eventually I like kind of had to come clean and like tell people, and she was like, oh my gosh, people are like talking about me behind my back, and I didn't know what to tell people. And eventually I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so terrible. And so the lesson that this taught me, because I think about how cringy it was. Like, I think back to that, and I'm like, what was I doing? Like, I totally made people think it was blown out of proportion, and it obviously wasn't totally my fault. People were like spreading it around and like blowing it way out of proportion, and I don't know. And like I said, it was a long time ago, so I don't remember the exact details of how everything went down. But the lesson that I learned was like, gossip is never like the full truth. First of all, it's always blown out of proportion, and second of all, like, you just have to be careful about talking about your friends to people, and like not being careful, like talking about other people behind their back, because you never know what people are going to spread around. And I just really don't ever like to talk about people behind their backs to people that like don't know them and like aren't involved in the situation. And like I learned such a valuable lesson. Like, just things can get blown out of proportion so easily, and it's so easy to just like make comments to people that you think are harmless, and then they just get blown up. And so just like thinking about what I am saying, like being conscious of that, and like making sure I'm not spreading rumors about people on accident, because that was absolutely not my intention, but that's what happened. So that was a really kind of big kick in the butt to me, honestly. That taught me a big lesson. Another question that we got, we'll go on to another one, is there anything you would want to change about your relationship with your siblings? Which is a great question. And I think maybe my siblings would answer the same as this, but you would have to ask them. I feel like we have a great relationship right now, like with my siblings. Right now, there's not much I would change about my relationship with my siblings. I feel like we get along really well. Like, I talk to them, and we always have fun together. Like, I always love being with them. Like, I will cancel plans with pretty much everybody else in my life to hang out with my family. And they're a pretty high priority for me. And I feel like we have a great relationship. Like, I love talking to them. I love hearing their perspectives. And it's fun now. Like, my youngest brother, Lucas, just graduated from high school. And so we're all, like, adults now. And, like, we've all become really good friends. And obviously, we still have little bickering stuff and, like, little random things, because we're siblings. And siblings fight their entire lives, I feel like. But we're doing really good. The things I would change about my relationship with my siblings are really just things from the past, things I don't have control over. Like, I would have been a lot nicer to my siblings growing up. I wish I would have, like, been better friends with them growing up. Those are the things I would change. Like, I feel like now things are really good. Yeah. Next question. This is a heavy question. Do you think the church is possibly more manipulative rather than teaching you right from wrong? And one of the episodes I'm going to release in the next couple of weeks is an interview with my aunt, Melanie, about leaving the Mormon church. I'm going to interview, we're in the middle of recording an interview for that, and so I won't go too, I got a couple of like spirituality questions, and so I won't go too deep into any of these things for this episode, because we're going to talk some more about things, and I might share some things about my personal faith journey in a later episode too. But this question like really makes me think, because it says, do you think it's more manipulative rather than teaching you right from wrong? And this may be a controversial opinion, but I don't know that it's more manipulative than teaching you right from wrong. Like, it's hard to answer this question, because I'm kind of in the middle of a faith journey right now, and I'm really working on figuring out like my feelings about certain things, and I've really had to deconstruct a lot of my feelings and a lot of what I believed were true, a lot of things that I have had to reevaluate. And so I'm in the middle of that. So this question's kind of hard for me to answer, because do I think the church teaches you right from wrong? I do. Like, I think they teach you good principles in learning and feeling and discerning what's right and wrong. However, the right and wrong are kind of skewed in a super dramatic way, in my opinion, and I feel like very extremes in terms of what the church teaches is right and what they teach is wrong. And that they definitely teach you how to discern between what's right and wrong. and they put it very black and white before you. This is right, this is wrong. So they definitely do teach you how to do that, but I think that what they teach as right and wrong is, in my opinion, too drastic, and not at all what I believe to be right and wrong. And do I believe that the church is manipulative? In a lot of ways, I do. In some ways, I don't. And I feel like there are a lot of really good people in the church and a lot of people who have really good intentions. And I've had a lot of instances with people in my life growing up that were great and had great intentions. And I learned a lot of really valuable lessons. And that I was taught a lot of really positive things growing up as a member in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I just feel like it's hard to answer this question in this episode really in depth. Do I believe that the church is more manipulative rather than teaching you right from wrong? I don't know. The answer I lean towards right now is maybe, and possibly, and probably, but I don't know that I can give a for sure yes or no right now. And I don't even know if what I'm saying about this is making sense, but it's just because I'm going through this faith transition right now. If you want, whatever you want to call it, it's faith crisis, figuring out what I really believe and what I want to believe. So it's hard for me to answer this question, but I would say for right now, is the church more manipulative rather than teaching you right for wrong? Maybe. That's gonna be my answer for right now. Here's another question that I thought came from my parents. Do you want to have kids someday? I absolutely want to have kids someday. I went through I've gone through some differing feelings about this, and I'm definitely not ready to have a kid right now. And I'm really glad that I don't have kids right now, because I've been trying to figure out so much stuff about myself and about my life. I'm still trying to take care of myself. I could not take care of a child right now. So I'm glad that I don't have a kid right now. But I do want to have a kid and kids someday. I really want to be a mom, and I've gone through ups and downs with my feelings on kids, and there's been times where I really want to have kids, and there's times where I've been like, I really don't want to have kids. But I've decided I do want to have kids, and I really do want to be a mom, and I feel like that for me that would be very fulfilling for my life. When that happens, I'm not in a rush at all. Sorry, Mom and Dad. I know you really want me to have a baby. I'm sorry. Eventually. But I'm not in any rush. Absolutely not. And I just feel like I'm figuring out so much stuff, like I said, about my life. And there's still a lot of things I feel like need to fall into place before I can have a kid. But someday. The next question is, would you go back and be friends with an acquaintance that you had in high school, or with acquaintances you knew from high school? I would say absolutely. Some of my very best friends now were people that I went to high school with that are were friends with people I went to high school with that I didn't really know in high school that well, or we were just acquaintances, and now we're really good friends. A lot of my best friends are that way now. So absolutely, I would go back and be friends with acquaintances I knew from high school. I would go back and be friends with anybody I knew from acquaintances I knew from any part of my life. So if this was you that submitted this question, DM me, let's be friends. Even if you didn't submit this question and you want to be friends, DM me. I would absolutely love it. And I always like making new friends. I'm kind of a collector of people and have made friends all over the place and love people so much. So yeah, please, let's be friends, everybody. Our next question is, how are things with your boyfriend? And this question just makes me so happy because things are absolutely incredible with my boyfriend. He might want to skip this part. Sorry, Mitch. Because I'm gonna compliment you a little bit here, but yeah, things are just like amazing with my boyfriend. We've been together now for, I don't know, our first date was last September, so however long that's been, I don't know, like 9 months, 8 months since we met, and things are just going great. Like, I'm very in love. We are like best friends. He is the best person I've ever dated, ever, hands down, in my entire life. Like, one of the best people I've ever met in my entire life. Honestly, don't know where he's been my whole life. He's just like so amazing. Things are great. Like, we're so happy. Like, we are just living life and enjoying things with each other, and hang out and have fun and just laugh all the time, and just we love going out and doing fun things together, and we just have the best time together, and I really feel like he's like my best friend, and I love him so much, and so things are really good, and it's crazy like being in a healthy relationship. He's really like the first serious healthy relationship I've ever been in, and so it's been kind of a learning curve for me in terms of trying to navigate like being in a healthy relationship and learning how to be in a relationship with somebody who is so healthy himself and emotionally stable and emotionally mature and just like I said, the best person ever. So it's been an adjustment for me, just learning like how to have a secure attachment again, and how to be secure on my own, and like things are just so good. Like, I have had not any issues in trusting him. He's never like given me any reason not to trust him. Like, he is very validating of me. He takes really, really good care of me. He's super kind to me. He is like always willing to talk through things with me if I need support. Like, he's always there, and we just love spending time together, and like we just, I don't know, things are really good. That's the answer to that question. Things are great, and thank you for asking this, because it's not something I'm probably not going to share anything too crazy personal about our relationship even going forward, but yeah, things are just good, and he just does nice things for me all the time, and like things I'm not used to. And like when I was applying for a new job, he spent like 3 hours helping me update my resume, and he's the one who helped me research all this podcast stuff and like get all the equipment ready, like get everything online, and he like brings me food if I'm ever feeling sick. He takes really good care of me. He like has helped me with headache stuff, and he's just the best. Things are great. I could literally go on and on and on and on and on about how great things are, but yeah, I'm very much in love and very, very, very happy, and just I'm happy that I was willing to give up such a terrible situation and put myself first, and be able to put myself out there and know that I deserve more, because now that I'm in a relationship that I feel like is very fulfilling and is very supportive and very just secure and happy, it makes me realize like that I've been settling for so much less my whole life, when I know like that this is really what I deserve. And so yeah, things are great. I love Mitch. Everyone's team Mitch. So that's how things are going. Our next question is kind of another heavy one, but it says, what is your spirituality like now? What's your theory on why we are here? Kind of a double part question. I also had another question that says, what has your faith journey looked like? And again, it's such a heavy thing to talk about, like, and because I'm still kind of going through a faith journey right now, like, I've and so it's hard to talk about. But I've always been somebody who had questions about things, and always was somebody who wanted to know a little bit more. Like, my testimony, quote unquote testimony, has never been something that's easily come for me at all. Like, I just have always had to really fight to figure out what I believe in, and things have just never really fallen easily into place for me. Even in seminary, I remember, like, sophomore year, I, like, had this giant list of questions that I wrote down and gave to my best friend at the time, and she went and she, like, answered all of them and spent, like, a couple of days, like, answering them, and, like, was really sweet and, like, answered some, like, really profound questions that I had. And she did a really good job. Like, she put a lot of effort into it. It was really, really kind of her to do that. And then, like, she answered all my questions, and I just remember feeling placated enough that it didn't continue to weigh on me, but not enough that I was unwilling to continue asking the questions that I had. And a lot of them were basic questions that a lot of people have, you know, like, what's the purpose of this? Like, why do bad things happen to good people? Like, why are we here? Like, what, you know, all these life questions that I feel like a lot of people ask. And then I just, like, never really had for sure confirmations that I felt like I never really knew for sure about anything. And I decided to go on a mission. I kind of mentioned this before, but I decided to go on a mission because when I got to college, I just kind of went I swung to the other end of the pendulum of, like, I was super goody two shoes, and then I just kind of, like, let loose in college, and really felt like I wanted to explore my freedom, and I did, and I tried a lot of different things, and you know, had a lot of fun, and had really good experiences. And I felt super guilty. I had, like, insanely deep shame for even like going to a party where there was alcohol. Like, I would feel, like, deep shame that I was there, and was like, oh my gosh, I'm letting God down, like, that I'm even being in these situations, which is not a healthy fear in any form. I've learned it's not healthy. Fear is not a healthy motivation, and I was very much motivated by fear for a long time. And going on a mission was to kind of atone for my sins in a real way. Like, that's really why I felt like I needed to go, was to atone for my sins. And I went, and I really did genuinely enjoy my mission. Like, I had an amazing mission president. Shout out President David Huntsman and his super cute wife, Sister Huntsman. And I just, like, they were the absolute best mission presidents ever. And I, like, loved my area. Like, I loved the people. I loved meeting people. And, like, I really went hard on the mission front. Like, I was all in. I was committed, deeply committed, and I was, like, focused. I was 100% there as a missionary, and I worked super hard. I have very few regrets for my mission, because I just, like, threw myself into it, and probably a little too much into it at times. But and I like, had never read the Book of Mormon until, like, all the way through. I had never read the Book of Mormon until I was on my mission. And I think I read through I'm a pretty slow reader, and so and I like to really analyze and, like, annotate what I'm reading. And so it took me, like, forever to read through the Book of Mormon the first time. I think I only read through the Book of Mormon maybe 3 times in a year and a half, which you read through it, like, every single day. you read it every day as a missionary in your personal study in the mornings. You have an hour to study on your own. And so I would read the Book of Mormon every single day, and we were like teaching from it every day. And I don't even think I got through it 3 times. Like, it might have been like 2.5 times my whole mission. And I just remember after the first time I read it, like, I did feel good about it. Like, I did feel good. Like, there was things in the Book of Mormon that really resonated with me, and I liked the teachings, and I liked the metaphors, and I never felt like what was in the Book of Mormon, though, was literal. To me, it was all just like story, and to me it never felt like this really happened, and it all just felt like a metaphor and like something to teach us like good principles. And that was always something that was kind of hard for me. And being in Northern Virginia and DC, there's a lot of people who would bash with us, talk to us bad, like tell us negative things and try and argue with us about the church and why it was wrong. And I got really good at not bashing with people, but like dismissing people, and I didn't really let it get to me. And there would be some things that people said, and we would go to lessons with people, and there was just like slowly things that I learned on my mission that I'd never been taught before, I'd never learned before. And this is just me being super blunt and open with you guys. Like, I'm just like looking up at my ceiling, just like talking right now, and you guys are gonna listen to this, and that's what's so weird about this. But you asked, so I'm answering. And I remember learning some things on my mission about like church history that I'd never known before, never heard before. And I don't need to go into specifics, but I learned some things, and I felt some things on my mission. Things just didn't really resonate with me. Some things that we would teach investigators, I like feel looking back, I didn't really do them justice. And I put a lot of people in some unfair situations, trying to baptize them and trying to get them to convert to the church, and in terms of like unrealistic expectations and feeling extremely like their salvation really depended on it. And that's really how I felt, and that's how a lot of missionaries feel. It's a lot of people in the church feel that the things you teach are literally gonna save people. And that was how I felt on my mission. And so I really like put a lot of effort into saving people, and getting home from my mission. Like, I was going to the temple like every single week. I was really dedicated, like, post mission. And they're just things in like when I went through the temple the first time, there were things that just I could never really reconcile with. And I remember like going through the temple the first time and like honestly feeling like I was like I didn't know what was going on, and it like made me very concerned, and I felt very like misplaced and not safe and not comfortable and like not happy. And I had that for until I left on my mission, like when I would go to the temple, that I just was like, I don't like this. And post-mission, I spent more time in the temple than I did before my mission, and I became a little more comfortable with things. But there's just a lot of things that I just didn't really sit well with me and just never resonated with me. Like, and I would be praying, I would be going to church, I would be fasting, I'd be paying my tithing, I'd be reading the scriptures every day. Like, I read the Book of Mormon every single day when I got home from my mission too. Like, I kept, for a long time, I read like every day, and I was doing what they told me to do, and going to church and fulfilling my calling and doing all these things. And I lived in Provo, which is where I thought was like the Mecca for the church, and I really thought like, oh, I'm going to come, my testimony is going to skyrocket, like I'm going to meet some guy, we're gonna get married in the temple. And that, like, those things just didn't happen. Like, the more I was home, like, the more I just became comfortable with not participating in spirituality and feeling more and more uncomfortable at church, and more and more uncomfortable with some of the cultural things and some of the doctrine things. And like I said, I'm not going to go into any specifics because that's too much for this episode, and I just don't really want to right now. And so spirituality, like, for me now, honestly, is not much. I don't go to church. I haven't for a while. And I don't read scriptures. I don't pray. I've always felt very disconnected from God. And even when I would pray, I would feel, I've never really felt connected to a higher power. And so I'm just trying to right now figure out what I believe, and figuring out separating some spiritual trauma and spiritual abuse that I've suffered from my actual feelings about the gospel. And so I just decided, after getting out of an abusive relationship, that I need to take a break from spirituality to really sort through some feelings about it. And because I had a lot of my abuse focused around the church and was really weaponized against me. And so I'm just taking a break from spirituality right now, to be honest. Like, I still like to connect with nature, and I go out and I love being outdoors, and I love connecting with myself, and I'm learning how to connect with my higher self more, and really tune into my body and into my needs and into myself. And that's really what my spirituality looks like now. Like, I have some plans for the future to be able to kind of integrate spirituality back into my life a little bit, but that's what it looks like now. Sorry that was kind of heavy, but I think the last question that I'll end on, which is a really great question, is before I do that question, there's one more question. What made you want to start a podcast? And this is a great question. I have wanted to do a podcast for years, you guys. Like, I really have been wanting to do this for years. And I don't know what really made me, like, super want to do it. I listened to, if you guys know what The Bad Broadcast is, I, like, listened to The Bad Broadcast. Like, I think, like, I found her episodes, like, episode 2 or 3. Like, when I first found her, she had, like, 3 episodes out. And I, like, saw her on Instagram. I, like, listened, and I, like, shared it with everybody that I knew because I thought she was so funny. And she was just so vulnerable and, like, so raw. Like, I just loved it so much. And I was like, gosh, if Maddie Murphy can do it, like, I can do it. And it just, like, really sparked a desire to want to do a podcast in me. And then I just love podcasts. Like, I listen to them, and I've just felt drawn to doing a podcast for some reason. Like, I honestly don't know what it is about podcasting that makes me want to do it, but it's just always something that I felt like I could maybe contribute to society a little bit, and, like, have a creative, expressive form of art for me. It's a very creative outlet, and I like that, and I need creative outlets in my life. So that was really what drove me to do it. And then the actual last question is, as you have navigated through the ups and downs of life, what have you learned to be the truths in life? What do you know you can rely on? What do you know is safe? Where are your safe places? Which is an incredible question, and I've been thinking about this, like, all day since I read this question. And really, I have had a lot of ups and downs, as you guys have heard, especially the past few years. And really, the truths that I've learned in life are that nothing is permanent, everything changes, and time goes by in a blink of an eye, and we are not guaranteed tomorrow, and we really need to make the most of our situation today. And I think another big truth I've learned is that I am the only one that has the power to change my life. Like, nobody else can come and change my life. Like, I'm the only person that has the power to change my life. I'm the only one that has control over my future, and that I get to decide what my destiny is. If there's things that I don't like, nothing's permanent. Like, I didn't like my job, like I found a new job. Like I didn't like my relationship, I like got out of it. I got a new relationship. I like didn't I moved to a new apartment after living in my old apartment for 2 months. Like I didn't like it, so I like made a change, and that's been something that's been very comforting to me in going forward, because I have been able to really see that nothing is permanent. Like the pain, the suffering, the happiness, the joy, what the mediocrity, whatever it is, like it's not permanent, and it's all going to go away eventually, and that I need to make the most of what's going on now, and that I have the power to control what's happening in the future. And I think like the things that I know that I can rely on is really myself. That's like the biggest thing that I've learned. And like obviously I know that there are people who can't relate to this, but that I can rely on my family, that my family is always going to be there for me no matter what. That's been a huge lesson I've learned, is that they'll show up for me when I need them. And, you know, my immediate family and also my extended family, that my family is always going to be there, and it's a major support system for me. There are friends that I have in my life that I know I can always rely on, that they'll always be there for me and have been a huge rock in my life. And like I said, I know I can rely on myself. I know that I can pick myself up. I can get through anything. And I used to, I tell myself now, like, if there's hard things, I'm like, you know what? If I can leave an abusive relationship, like, I can literally do anything. Like, that is hands down the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life, was leaving the relationship, and knowing that whatever pain I go through in the future, like, it's gonna have to be like extreme to be on the level that it was with that. And even if there are extreme things in the future, that I know that I'm tough enough to get through anything. And because I got through getting out of that relationship and I'm healing, like, I really know I can get through anything, and that I can realize that the pain that I went through, I really felt like I was gonna die, like, then that the pain I was feeling was never gonna go away, what I was going through was never gonna end, and it did. And I'm doing so much better, and that I can always rely on time marching on, and that if I just stick to what I know I need to do today, then that I can get through pretty much anything. And the things that I know are safe, I've really created some safe spaces for myself. I know my family is a safe space. Again, I know not everybody can relate to this, but I know my family is a safe space, and my home my little room that I've created for myself is a safe space. I've really tried to create a safe environment for me. And honestly, like, my relationship with my boyfriend is one of the most safe and secure things about my life. And I just know it's like a comforting place, and like going and being with him, and our relationship is just a place where I receive safety and comfort, and he lifts me up a lot and supports me a lot. And like friends, like I said, my best friend Riley, and my family, and other really good friends, and you guys know who you are. And I have some places that I go when I'm feeling overwhelmed, like places I'll go on a drive to. I've always kind of had a spot that I go if I'm feeling overwhelmed, and that I can just drive to and look out. I love a view where I can just go and I can look out, I can connect with nature, I can connect with myself. And I have a few safe spaces that I go if I'm feeling overwhelmed, or like I need an extra little push in the right direction. And I'm really, really lucky. I have a lot of places that I consider safe. And a lot of places that I consider to be my safe places and my safe people. And, another truth I just thought of that I have realized too is that I don't know anything. I don't know anything, and there is still so much for me to learn, and I still have a long way to go, and I still have a lot of progressing to do, that there's going to be progress to be made for the rest of my life, and that's, like, a great feeling. Like, I'm excited about it, and I'm just so grateful for you guys. These have been awesome questions. I'm feeling really good. Like, I got home from work, like I said to you guys, like, I really was just tired and, like, did not want to do this. But I'm really glad that I did, and thank you guys so much for listening. And like I said, sorry I kind of blasted through some of these questions, but I only have, like, a certain amount of time to answer them. So if you guys want to hear my thoughts on any more of these things, like, DM me, whatever, let me know if you want me to expound more on these things. And I've got some super exciting episodes coming up in the next few weeks, and I can't wait to hear from you guys. And please share this with a friend, review this, leave a rating, and I love you guys so much. I hope you have an amazing 4th of July, an amazing weekend, and I will see you all next week. Love you so much. Thanks for listening to another episode of Absolutely Me. Thank you to everyone who helped make this possible. Shout out to Tanner Johnson for the amazing intro. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, tell all your friends. And we'll be back next Friday with another episode. Love you. Bye.